Happy Friday, everybody.
Hi.
Right, we are back. I was going to say it's week 4, but it might not be week 4. I can't remember what week we're in, but it is still a week and we are still going to do some Code Club. Tilda, what has been the most interesting thing about homeschool this week?
Maths.
Maths? Okay.
I've told you that already.
So which is the best bit of maths you did?
Grid method.
What's the grid method?
It's a method where you times things.
It is a method where you times things.
And he's already asked me that twice.
See, part of the secret here is we prepare this bit in advance so it looks like we know what we're doing. Anyway, it has also been an exciting week for me. The highlight of my week is I finally relented and let Matilda cut my hair. Anyway, let's...
That was last week.
No, it was definitely this week.
No, it wasn't.
This was the time goes really slowly.
It was last week.
Anyway, right, so this week we are going to be doing the first part of a game called Boat Race. Now, Tilda and I have done this one before. We did this in Code Club last time around, so we know what we're doing. We really like this one. This is one of your favourites, I think, isn't it? So we're going to see how far we get this week. This may be a two-parter because there's quite a lot to do in here and quite a few extra challenges we can set as well. So we're going to do what we usually do, which is share our screen, and we will also share a link to the starter project you'll need as well. Let me share the screen. Right, I guess first up, do you want to demo what it is we're going to do, Tilda? So you talk people through what you're doing?
So I am gently, carefully making sure the boat doesn't touch the brown, and I'm not going to make it touch the brown, because if you touch the brown, you die. Because it's the evil brown makes your boat explode. And all the sailors die. So I'm weaving around the brown bits and your boat follows your mouse. So that's why I'm trying to get it to... Oh no!
Go on, you have another go while I'm talking. So we're going to learn a few things this week that are kind of new concepts. We are going to look at operators this week. So in code, operators are ways to compare numbers or do other mathematical functions. We've got a few different operators to do here. We're going to write some code to detect colors, and that's how we decide whether the boat crashes or whether it wins. And we're also going to use some variables to record time. Can you see we've got this timer going on in the bottom corner? So that's where we're going to get to. This is the basic version. I'm looking forward to seeing some more advanced versions of this game as well as we get going. Come on in, going through.
Why does it go so slowly?
That is an excellent question that you'll be able to tell me in a minute when we look at the code. Okay, we're looking good.
Yeah!
Right, 65 seconds for those of you watching. See if you can beat that time. Right, onwards. Let me just fix the Zoom settings for Eleanor. Sorry, Eleanor. There we go. Does that work?
Yeah. I'm able to have a voice now, which is good. And I think there was a bit of an issue in the chat. I don't think anyone can see each other's messages.
Okay, that's actually a feature, everybody.
Okay, that's fine.
How we do this is you're allowed to ask us questions, but you're not supposed to be able to talk to each other. Child protection and e-safety and those kind of things you do at school, so that's deliberate, I'm afraid. So if you want to chat, you can chat to Eleanor or us. That's the limit of it. Righty, right. Let's get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, so loads of you will have done bits of this before, so if you want to go ahead, I'm going to each time describe the thing I'd like to happen, and then you can start to write the code, or you can follow along with Tilda and I if you need to. The first thing that I want to do is to get our boat to start in the bottom left-hand corner of our map, and I want it to point straight upwards. So how are you going to do that, Tilda?
Direction 0.
So when the green flag is clicked, we want the boat to point in the direction 0. Which way is 0?
Up.
Straight up. And now what have you added?
I've added go to minus 190, minus 150.
And what is that going to do?
I have no idea.
So these are X and Y coordinates. Hang on 1 second, Tilda.
I've just
Let's tell
dropped
our boat where
I will
on
drop
this map to go. So on this map, we have a grid and 0, 0, so X equals 0, Y equals 0 is right in the middle of the map here. So minus 190 is over here and minus 150 is down
I'll
here.
show you right in the middle. Right in the middle is here.
That's
Not
right.
there. Can you see right in the middle now?
I can see right in the middle. Right, so when we start, that's where our boat points. The next thing we want to do is we want our boat to follow the mouse pointer. Hang on, Tilda, 1 second. The first thing that Tilda's added in here is this little control block, forever. And what that is doing is saying we want this to happen for the entire course of the game. So all the time the game is running, forever, do this. So forever, point the boat towards the mouse pointer and
Move 1 step.
move 1 step. Okay, let's pause a couple of seconds. Switch my phone off and the other things that are beeping in the background. Right, let's test our code. Let's see whether what we've done does what we think it's going to do. Hang on, before we start, what do you think it's going to do?
It's gonna point towards the mouse pointer.
And
Move.
cool. So we can see what's going on here. Stop to it and start again. So when we hit the green flag, it points upwards and it goes back to the start, and then forever the boat is pointing towards this mouse pointer. So if you move the pointer around, the boat points towards it and it's moving 1 step forward each time, and then it's looping over and over that little block of code. So,
And I am not going to stop until I get to the end.
go on then. So this is looking pretty good so far, but we have a bug in the code, don't we?
No?
Yes.
Seems to be working.
What happens?
Is it just me not crashing?
Well, what's going to happen?
Don't crash! Don't crash! Don't crash!
Try it. What's going to happen if we crash into the side?
It's not going to go into a crash position.
Because that's all the code we've written.
Ow!
There it
Ow!
is. Do you see it? Do that again. So what happens if the boat touches the mouse pointer?
Oh no, you're stuck on land!
What happens if the boat touches the mouse pointer?
How is it going on?
What happens if the boat touches the mouse pointer? There we go. So that is not quite right, is it?
No.
We need to come up with a way to fix that. So the
You're
problem
just looking
we've
for
got,
it.
the problem we've got is when the boat touches the mouse pointer, it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know which way to move. So we need to come up with some kind of rule to say, we're happy for you to move unless you get too close to the pointer. So as long as the boat is a long way away from the mouse pointer, it's okay. But if it gets too close, we want it to stop. So we are going to introduce an if condition.
If.
And we're happy for the boat to move all the time. It's quite a long way away from the mouse pointer. So we're going to use an operator next.
You stay there. Operator.
And we're looking for greater than. That's the one there. So our condition is going to be if the distance to the mouse pointer is bigger than, say, 5 pixels, we're happy for the boat to move, but we don't want it to do that if it gets really close, because that was what was doing that weird jarring thing. Right, test it. We fixed it.
I'm going to get all the way through without...
Let's just test the bug first. Do you reckon you can test it for us?
Yes, I will when I get to the end. Because my boat is just freely going over there, the docks. Yeah!
Looks good. Right, let's hit save. So we have fixed the first problem we've discovered in our code.
This is my favourite part, apart from adding sounds at the end.
Right, next up we are going to move.
Could we just repeat maybe the last little bit? I think some people just want to slow down.
Absolutely. Right, so what we did was we added this chunk here. So the problem we're dealing with is we had a bug in the game where if the boat touched the mouse pointer, it didn't know which way to move, so it was just shaking around, and that was quite confusing. So what we were doing is trying to write some code to say we're happy for the boat to move all the time the mouse pointer is a long way away, but if the boat gets too close to the mouse pointer, we just want you to stop. So the first thing we did was we added this if condition. So inside our forever block, we said if something happens, then we want the code to run. And this,
To go in there.
yeah, so that goes inside the if block.
Grabbing it. Move! Why won't it move?
And try using the left side of the mouse.
Oh, that's all right. It's not working. Okay. It's working.
Right. And now what we have to do with these blocks is add the condition. So this is when the code will actually run. So we're going to do that a little bit slower, Tilda, but you've got the right things. So what we're saying is we want the boat to point towards the mouse pointer and we want it to move all the time the boat is a long way away from the mouse pointer. So the first thing we used was an operator which is greater than. So if something is greater than 5, then run this code, otherwise do nothing. And the condition we're looking for is how far the boat is away from the mouse pointer. So we use this sensing block, which is distance to mouse pointer. So forever, if the distance to the mouse pointer is greater than 5, then point in the right direction and move towards it. If not, don't do anything.
What happens when you press the arrow? Oh, it does it by itself. I'm going straight to the eye.
Right, shall we move on, Tilda? You ready?
Yay, it's my favourite part.
Right, Matilda's favourite part, she's already moved to without telling anybody what we're doing, is we're going to start to write what happens when our boat crashes. And the first thing we want to do is we want to change the way the boat looks. So when it hits a wall, it actually looks like it's crashed. So how are you going to do that, Tilda?
I'm going to make it look like that.
So what are you going to do? Talk people through what you're about to do.
I'm going to, there's at the top, there's code, costumes and sounds. I am going to click on costume and you'll have a giant sprite of boat.
So here we can see what our boat looks like originally. What we want to do is make a version of this boat that looks like it's crashed. And the way we're going to do that is by right-clicking on the sprite at the top left and saying duplicate. Let's do that again a little bit slower, Tilda. So we right-click on it and then we hit the duplicate button. And that gives you two exactly the same. First up, we're going to give this sprite a different name so it's easy to identify. So at the top it says currently it's called Normal 2, but let's call it something else.
Mal 2.
Let's call it Crash.
Crash.
Great. Now this is important because later on when we write some code for this, we're going to use the names of these sprites to actually control them. So we know we've got one called Normal and one called Crash. Now, the fun part, what we want to do is make it look like this boat has crashed. So you can use all of these tools you've got here to try and create a crash boat. You've got a paintbrush, you can paint on some fire maybe. Using the little selection tool, you could select a bit of the boat and drag it around and make it look like it's smashed. What are you going to do?
I'm going to do some people.
Some people.
Perfect colour for faces. This may take a while. Now we need thinner. Can you make it one? Black. Now I need red. That colour.
Cool.
Can you change it to 5, please?
Just click on the up arrows to go up a bit, or I can type it in. Said his tongue. Nice. Right. Can you also show people how to break up a part of the boat?
Oh, okay.
So use the little selection tool, and you can grab a piece, and then you can move it.
Oh, die, boat! I hate this boat. I'm gonna draw one more person after this. Because there are 3 people in the boat, but I'm only gonna do 2 of them because one of them swam away.
Right, go on then. You draw one more person, and then we'll do the next bit.
Dead boat.
So how do you draw the person?
So what I did, I went to yellow, then moved it to there.
It's not quite as bright.
And then you got that peach.
And then you drew your face.
I think I did the face a bit too green. He can just be seasick. I don't mind. Because he's already dead. Oh no! Oh, that can be his body. Yeah.
So the way we move the pieces of the boat is Matilda used the tool that's at the bottom right of the little toolbar, which looks like a little square in dots and then with an arrow on. And on her boat, she drew a little square around it. So that was highlighted in blue. And then she clicked and dragged that square down a bit. If you hold on the corner, you can also spin them round too. And once we've created this person, I'll switch back over so you can see the code we've added to this boat sprite as well, if some of you still need that.
Oh yeah, I forgot the crosses. How do you make it? Can you make it 1 or 2? Black. Die. It's moving. Yay.
Beautiful work.
Wait, I hadn't drawn his body. I get to draw the other one's body and his t-shirt.
I think this is a good start. We can come back to this in a bit. Right, so let's just do a quick recap of where we are. We've got 2 costumes now for our boat. We've got our normal one that looks like this.
Dead people.
And we've got our crash when the boat crashes into the wall that looks like this.
And
Normal.
dead.
Crash.
Dead people. Normal.
Beautiful.
Dead.
So the other thing I just wanted to quickly recap is moving those pieces is we picked this tool down here and then selected a bit of our boat and dragged it out. And you can also rotate them like that as well. Quick save. Right. We've got
That's
two
what the
conditions
guy
now.
looks like. I need to fix his body.
We can fix his
His
body
head
up.
is floating. It's floating though.
Back over to our code.
Who wants a floating head?
This is where we've got to so far. So what we've got so far is when our green flag is clicked, point the boat upwards, go to this position, which is our start position, and then forever, as long as the boat is further away from the mouse pointer than 5 pixels, point towards the mouse and move towards it. What we're going to do now is we want to write some code for if the boat crashes. So we're going to use an if statement here because this is another conditional. So if this happens, then do this. And where does the boat crash? What happens when it crashes?
It goes to that costume. The dead people costume.
Changes over, and the part of the map that is the crash is the wall.
Yeah.
So we're going to write some code that says if the boat crashes into the wall, change to our crashed costume. And there is something unique about the wall compared to the rest of the map. What is that?
It is brown.
It is brown. So
everybody can see that.
We can use another conditional, a bit like how we use distance to mouse pointer. So we can say, if the boat is touching the brown wall, then do something. So let's add in another if block. You do that?
Yeah. Huge block.
If then
Oh my.
underneath the other if block, but inside the forever. That's it.
That's one huge for everything.
Right.
Is it just like slime and it keeps stretching and stretching?
Stretching and stretching and stretching until eventually it splits in half and falls on the floor and gets a bit dusty.
Oh. Okay, this code is dusty. This code is very old and dusty.
Right.
Stinky.
What's our condition? If the boat is touching the color brown. So let's have a look in our sensing section. Touching color.
I'll use the mouse pointer.
Yep. And then how do we get the brown?
Take this piece.
So what we did was Tilda clicked on the little color circle. And then if you look carefully at this,
At the bottom.
That's right. What's that called?
Ink dropper, and you can. There's a square in the middle of the circle. You put it as your mouse pointer, and that needs to be on the color you want. Otherwise, it will be blue, yellow, or boat.
Got it. So let's pick our brown.
Let's take that piece. Yeah.
So doing it that way is really important because it means we've got exactly the right color brown. So we've now got this brand new block that says if our boat sprite is touching the color brown, what do we want to happen, Tilda?
Die.
We want the boat to crash, don't we?
And die.
So we need to control our costumes. So Tilda went across into looks. And you're saying switch the costume to crash. So when the boat touches brown, switch to our crash costume. What else are we going to do?
We're going to say something for the next 6 seconds.
What do we want our sailor to say when he crashes?
I know.
Remember?
I know.
There've been previous discussions about language that's suitable for this house and maybe isn't suitable for everybody's houses. So this is a high-risk activity. What do the sailors say when they crash? Five, four.
I know.
Blah.
Blah. How do you spell blah? Blah. How do you spell that?
Blah, like that.
Yeah. For
That's much too long. You don't want to wait 28 seconds until you can play again.
what? Can't it be saying when you started? 20. No, 6.
Right.
6 seconds for your hands to
So,
get warmed up.
if the boat touches the colour brown, change our costume to Crash, say blah for 2 seconds, and then we need to get ready to play the game again. So we're going to switch our costume back to normal and put the boat back to the start of the game again.
Point in direction. Yay! Oi, I was going to use the mouse thing. I don't know what it's called.
Let's get our start position just right as well. Okay, so we are reaching another good point to pause. So I'm going to do another little run through of what we got, but that's good so far. Right. Do you want to test and see what happens when we crash the boat?
Yeah, once I've got to the very end.
No, let's just test it to begin with.
No, I'm going to get to one of the harder bits. And I'm going to crash on purpose. Because I am good at this game. It was the first piece of coding I ever learned, wasn't it?
Why can't we crash here? Why do we have to wait?
Because I want to get to the hard bit. Yeah!
It changes, and then went back to the start.
Yeah!
Went back to the start.
Yeah! Yeah!
Pretty happy with this?
Let's make it say black in real life. Come on. Oh, can
Can we what?
make it say yeah in real life.
Maybe we'll do some sounds in a little bit.
Oh,
See how we do for time. Okay, so hopefully we've all got a boat that follows our mouse pointer. We've got a boat that changes the way it looks when it crashes. And if it crashes into the brown wall, our costumes change and it says something disturbing. So all the code you need for this game so far is on screen right now. So what you're looking at is every single piece of code that we've written
why is it
so
doing
far.
that? Why is it doing that? It's not working.
What's happened?
It just bugged. I had a bug.
Ah, and somebody else has also identified the same problem. So sometimes it doesn't change back to normal when the game starts, does it? How do you think we could fix that?
No, don't crash.
So, did you hear the question?
Yes.
How do you think we can make sure it always looks right at the start of the game?
I have absolutely no idea because we did not practice this.
So have a think. I know it is 3:30 on a Friday, so your brain is basically switched off. But
it's dead.
how do we change the costumes?
Switch costume.
So if we wanted to make sure it absolutely was at the normal costume when the game started, what do you think we'd do? Should I tell you what I'd do?
Yeah.
What I would do is right at the very start of the game, I would add another costume switcher to say, right at the beginning, definitely change to the normal costume. So that means it doesn't matter whether it's the right costume or the wrong costume, it will force the game to start in the right place. I can see a few of you sticking your hands up and I know you're going to answer that, so good job.
Tim, someone's boat also isn't changing to a crash costume when it hits the walls.
I just pointed that out.
Can we go over that maybe?
Okay, so the way we're controlling what happens when the boat touches brown is this whole block here, this if block. So our code is inside the boat sprite, and we're saying if the boat is touching the color brown, and we got that from sensing touching color, and then we picked the exact brown of the wall by using the little eyedropper tool here and selecting the brown of the wall.
Ink dropper.
Ink dropper, okay.
Why would it drop eyes?
And then...
Why would it drop
That is
eyes?
an excellent question.
What? Why?
Ink dropper. I guess it kind of sucks the ink up as well, so it's more of an ink sucker tool.
And it drops it in there. Doesn't it?
Yes.
Ink sopper. Ink sopper.
If there are teachers watching, you do a fantastic job. I don't know how you do it. Right, so touching brown. Then what we've said is using from our look section, we want to switch our costume to our crash boat.
And to collect the exact brown colour you need, you use the ink slopper.
Got it. The thing that it may be is we have to be careful to label our costumes. So over in costumes, we've got two.
I need to see his head is still floating.
Our first costume is called normal, and we changed this second one here to be called crash, because that's how we identified them in the code. So we said switch costume to crash. And then we did some other things with it as well. So say something and point in direction. Amazing. That's my door. Are you going or am I going to?
I'll go. Because you're the one who did go.
So I think... So I think touching the color block is probably the thing to look at. So touching our color, ink dropper, out. And if you look at this, it's a tiny little square. Make sure that is on the brown. And then we've got brown here as well. The other thing to check, maybe make sure you've definitely got your boat sprite selected here, so the code is applying to the boat and nothing else. Otherwise, hopefully that should be it. What we'll do later on is we'll share the guide we're following as well, so you can work through and see what it is that I did differently that maybe you didn't. Hopefully you've caught up with us now. Right, next up, we want to do something very similar, but we want to control what happens when we win the game. So our win condition for the boat is all the way around the maze when we get to the desert island here. Who's the door?
Sue.
Sue, cool. She okay?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what she came to knock for, to be honest.
Maybe she just wanted to say hello. Sue lives just down the road from us. Anyway. Next up, what we would like to do is write some code for when we win the game. So you win by getting all the way to the desert island. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to almost exactly copy what we did previously, because there's something special about the island, right? And that is the island is yellow. So we can create another if statement to say if the boat touches the island, then we can do something to say you've won the game.
Cat, cat. Cat!
It's looking at us. It's gone.
Hey. Hey.
Right. So these if statements are stacked up underneath each other, but most importantly, hey, here's another thing about why it may not have been working. The if statements are all inside our forever block. So everything that we want to happen constantly throughout the game needs to be inside forever.
Where's the say block?
So let's get our color right first, shall we?
I'm clicking on it.
Yeah, you need to use the left-hand side of the mouse.
Oh.
That's... There we go.
The little sink dropper, the sock dropper.
Let's get some yellow.
All yellow. Plenty of yellow.
And if it touches the end, we want it to go, yes!
Where's the say? Here it is.
So where did you get say from? Which section?
Looks.
Say, woohoo! Can you spell that?
Yes, I know how to spell.
Say moo for 2
No,
seconds.
that's not right. That's not right.
Cool. And because this is the end of the game, we want to do one other thing.
Stop. Oh.
Which is from our control block. We want the game to stop. So we have finished.
Now can we add some sounds?
Very nearly. So let's just recap this block again. So this is the section we have just created. We created a brand new if statement. We said if from sensing it is touching the color yellow, then say moo for 2 seconds, because that means we've won the game. The other thing I just want to quickly loop back over is have a look back over the whole of the code we've written. And what I wanted to highlight is, can you see how just all of this we've written here all lives inside that forever block? And it all goes in there because we want this to apply all the time the game is running. So make sure all of your if statements are nice and neatly ordered underneath each other and inside the forever block.
Slime forever block.
Slime forever block.
Now can we add some sounds?
Now we can add some sounds. Right, this is the last thing we're going to do this afternoon. So we've got 2 if statements in here. We've got one for if the boat crashes. Tilda, can you pause a second because we need to show people how to do this? Brilliant. And we've got another if statement, which is when we get to the end and win. So what happens at the moment is when we get to those, we're switching the costumes and we're saying something. Also, we can add a sound effect here too as well. So are you going to add a couple of sounds in then?
Yes.
And remember to talk through how you're doing.
So what we do is we go to sound, which is pink, and you play sound pop until done. Then you go to sounds, it's next to costumes and code. And then you can either choose a sound, which I'm actually...
How did you choose a sound?
I went to the bottom left corner and it says choose a sound. I'm going to choose a sound for bar. Animals. Yes!
Right, so we've got our sounds, and using the tools here we can make it faster or slower, we can make it louder, we can make it go backwards, so you can build your own sound in here really. You can also use Scratch to record your own voice, so maybe if you want to record your own sound you could do that too.
I will just get...
So back in our code we're going to play the sound.
Oh, why won't it do it?
Because you're pressing with 2 fingers on the mouse. Play the sound bar, and where does that live?
That goes underneath play sound me.
So it's going to play that when we win the game.
Yeah.
Now let's add
No.
another.
No. Oh no. This is going wrong.
What's gone wrong? Can you explain what you did wrong?
I took the stop out.
So actually, we're going to add the sound for when we crash.
And now I'm going
Let's test first, make sure that works. That's good. I have an improvement to suggest. Watch very closely what happens.
Oh yeah.
Can you see that the sound played and then the speech bubble came up? We would quite like those things to happen at the same time. So can we change the order of things around a little?
Oh!
That doesn't look like it's working, does it?
No.
Try picking the one just underneath it and dragging it away.
Oh, that's
There you
what you do. Go there. No. Yes. There.
Got it. So what did you do?
I switched them around.
Let's test it and see what happens this time.
I'm going to get to the hard bit. I like the hard
Let's crash it here because then we can carry on.
Okay. We're going to have to wait 0 seconds. 0. Now let's. That's good.
It is good. There's another way we can do this, which is to use a slightly different block. If you look at the sound we're using, it says play sound bar until done. There's another one in here that's just called start sound. And if we switch over to using that one, it'll play the sound and carry on with the code at the same time. So you get both happening at once.
Now I can record a sound.
So next up, we're going to record a sound for when we win.
So we're going back to sounds, which I've already explained.
And
what you can do is you can go here and it'll be record. Go where you did to choose a sound, but go up to and it'll be record.
okay, so what's happening here is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but my browser has just popped up a little window to say, do you want Scratch to be able to use your microphone? And we're going to say allow, so you may get something similar.
Don't say anything.
All right, I'm quiet now.
Me!
So Tua has recorded a beautiful sound. And we can use these little controls here to edit the start and the end. So maybe get a bit closer to the start.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And let's give that sound a better name as well.
Tilda's me.
That is indeed Matilda's move. Right, now let's...
This is Matilda's me.
Right, bit of code. Where are you going to pop that?
Now let's play.
So if the boat touches the colour yellow, then start sound Matilda's move.
We need to do a dot of yellow somewhere. But now I have to get all the way through the maze without crashing.
Come on, let's see if we can get to the end.
Come on, why can't it go faster?
Actually, that's a fun question for those of you watching along. Why,
This is too easy.
why can't it go faster?
Faster, not faster. What's faster?
Of all the lines of code you're looking at here, which one would you change to make it go faster? See if you can figure that out.
I already know. Well, I can drag it? What? Wow, I can drag my boat. I'm just dragging. I'm trying to drag my boat.
So we have found another bug we need to fix.
Drag, drag, drag. Oh my word!
So
Yeah.
which line of code would you change to make your boat move faster? You already know, remember, I just heard you say that.
I know, but
Go
I
on then.
thought it was homework.
Have a look, see if you can pick it out. Which line of code tells the boat to move?
That one.
That one. Can you describe it for people who can't see what you're looking at? Perfect. So how would you make it move faster? Bold. Let's give it a test.
Oh, that was too far.
Let's slow it down a bit then. Okay, what does 5 look like?
Broom.
5 is just about doable.
And I dragged it half of the way.
Amazing.
Drag.
Right. It is 4:45, which means this is about the place where we're going to stop. What we're going to do is next week, we're going to continue with this activity because we've got a few more things to do. We want to add in our timer. We want to add in some obstacles and some speed boosts and some other things to this as well. But we didn't want to do this all in a big 2-hour chunks. It's quite a lot to get on with. Little challenges, I guess, if you want to play with this during the week, is maybe think if you can add some background music to it, maybe customize your backdrops so you can make the maze a little bit harder, maybe do a bit more work on your costumes to make the boat crash a bit more exciting. There's lots of little things we could do.
Now can I add the body to my man?
You can add the body to your man now. This is all of the code you need for today. Things to be careful of, I think, probably are make sure the code is on your boat sprite and not on your background. So code lives on the sprite. Keep an eye on the touching blocks to make sure the colors are selected, and make sure everything lives inside the forever block. That way it'll keep going for the whole of the game. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. Have lovely weekends. We'll stick this video on YouTube shortly after it's finished and Zoom has done its thing to encode it, so you can come back and have a look. Is there anything else I'm supposed to say now? I don't think so. Have you got any parting words of wisdom?
Matilda's moo.
Matilda's moo.
It's the best sound to use when they win.
Amazing. We're done, everybody. It is 4 o'clock on a Friday. Happy weekend. We'll see you next time.